Hey preppers, Homestead Prepper here. I've been getting a lot of interest, a lot of questions on canning, and I thought I would just go over the basics. It's really easy to do. Everybody should get into it. Of course, the major purchase you have to make is you have to get something to can. Now the cheap thing to get is right here. It's just a simple water bath canner. It doesn't get any simpler than this. It's just a big pot. It's got a rack in there. You set the jars in there. Right here, this is blueberry jam that we made out of our blueberry bushes back in May of last year. Anyway, you fill the thing up with water. Well, first of all, you got to cook the jam. You mash up the berries. They have recipes in there. They're real easy to follow. And you pour the hot stuff in hot jars, and what we usually do is I put the jars in the oven, you know, like at 300 degrees or 275 or 250, whatever, and leave them in there. And then when the stuff is cooked, we pour it in there, and then what you do is you put this in hot water. Of course, what I would do, I only have a lot of room here, you would fill that thing up right there and then drop it in the water, and what you want is the water to cover the top of the jars by at least 1 inch. And then if it's a high acid food, I think this is also blueberry or blackberry, this is apple butter. If it's a high acid food, it only takes 10 minutes, and it just doesn't get any more simple than that. 10 minutes, you bring it to a full boil, 10 minutes, and it's done. Okay, now if you want to can meats and soups and stuff like that, then I recommend you come over here and get you a pressure canner. Now, somebody left me a comment that they don't like, their significant other doesn't like Walmart and they don't like stuff made in China. Well, you know what? My wife bought this for me, and it is made in China. If you want something made in USA, you could probably get on the internet, and there's probably a lot of stuff out there. Something else you can do is I just watched a video by the Southern Prepper, and he was talking about going to flea markets and yard sales and Craigslist and things like that. You could probably get something, an older Presto made pressure cooker at a flea market that's made in USA for a lot cheaper than you could buy one at Walmart. And Ironhead 41 has a video on how to order the gaskets. That's the weight right there. How to order these gaskets right here, because that's really all that wears out on them. I guess you could have the gauge wear out. But if you look at this, you see how that looks in there. It's discolored. And what happened is I put some cans in there, and I didn't know the little secret that if you put these metal lids in there with that aluminum under heat and pressure, it reacts and it discolors it. Now, it doesn't harm anything, you know, and your jars are sealed. What I learned, oh, this is a pressure cooker that was a gift from my parents, and this has a weight on it, and what it does is it has just, this is for like 5 psi. You put the extra weight on there, that's 10 psi, and then you people who live at the higher elevations, you put that on there for 15 psi. But what I was going to show you is that we have pressure can with this one, and just by putting a little cap full of vinegar in there, it keeps it from discoloring. This thing looks great. So now I do use this one to cook when we do large amounts of soup, when we can soups or other things. I will cook with that one. But this is our basic pressure canner. Now, some of the things that we've made over here is my wife loves soup. She loves all kinds of soups, and this is her chicken soup, which we did this back in November. And what she did is she got some chicken, she boiled it, she cooked it down, made a nice broth out of it, and then she just filled the jar up with carrots and corn, and oh, and you got to have onion and everything. She loves onion, me too. And she puts a little bit of chicken in there, and we put, now this is a quart jar, we put 1 teaspoon of salt in here, and then well, something else I'm leaving out. Well, let's do the other one, because this one doesn't look too great up here. Let's just make a better video here. Is that when you put the jars in there, you have to put this down there on the bottom, because if you put the jar and it touches the bottom of this pot, it'll bust. So you got to make sure you put that in there. But these pressure canners right here will hold 7 quarts, and they'll hold 8 pints. And what we have here, her mom's vegetable soup. That was made in November, and it's very simple, just some beef, and she does the same thing, cooks it down, makes a broth, and she puts tomatoes, corn, onions. Those are some beans out of our garden, potatoes. Now this right here, I love this. This is Toscana soup, and she got this recipe off the internet. Yeah, if you're familiar with the Olive Garden, you're familiar with Toscana soup. It's delicious. Her chili is excellent. We get on these runs, and this is great when we come home from work. Some nights we're so tired, you just open one of these up and maybe fix some vegetables. We canned these pole beans back in December. January 30th, we made some tangerine marmalade. We had our tangerine tree must have had like 300 or 400 tangerines on it, and we got the recipe off the internet, and this stuff is delicious. We tried making some with Splenda, because we have some people in the family who are diabetics, and it didn't turn out that great, but nonetheless. And we canned some turkey, and turkey is a great thing to can because it's relatively inexpensive. And this right here, now some of you have probably never heard of shallot, which we did this right after Christmas. Actually, crab shallot is a local delicacy, and to my knowledge you cannot get it in a restaurant here locally. It is, I think it's one of the best things I've ever tasted, and yeah, it's like a tomato sauce, but it's really great. We'll have to do a video on that later, but just trying to give you all some basics and some ideas on what you can do. My wife bought this book last week up at Walmart. It's called The Ball Blue Book Guide to Preserving and Canning, and she paid a whopping $5.95 for it. And this book is chocked full of information, all kinds of recipes, how to do it, what to do, how to test it, what to put pectin in, how you can make all kinds of stuff. It has the chart here for the growth and destruction of microorganisms, the temperature at which they die, and that's why you want to pressure can things, of course, is to keep the food poisoning out. Now, I have heard that you can take meat and you can put a teaspoon of salt in this, and you can put it in just a regular water bath canner for 4 hours at a rolling boil. But I personally wouldn't trust that. If I can't pressure can it, I'd be very leery about eating it. And just a little history of pressure canning. It was invented in, I believe it was 1679. So it's been around for quite a while. But anyway, that's all I want to talk to y'all about, was just the basics. And if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask me, and I'll try and do the best I can. I'm not an expert by any means, but I can usually find out stuff. So thanks for watching. Homestead Prepper out.